U-166's last dive, the captain who never left the Periscope. Chilling WWII submarine mystery. Beneath the dark waters of the Gulf of Mexico, a German submarine lies silent. Inside it, a captain is still standing at his periscope. No distress signal, no escape attempt. Just a final moment, frozen in time. What really happened to U-166 and her commander? The hidden battlefield beneath the waves. When we think of World War II, we imagine the beaches of Normandy, the skies over Britain, or the battlefields of Europe. But few people realize that one of the most intense naval battles happened much closer to home, in the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico. In 1942, German U-boats were hunting American ships just miles from the U.S. coastline. Oil tankers burned in the night, merchant vessels vanished without warning. And among those silent hunters was one submarine, U-166. This is not just the story of a submarine. It is the story of a captain and his final moments. The making of U-166. U-166 was a Type WWII German U-boat built for long-range missions. She was launched in 1941 and commissioned into the German Navy, the Kriegsmarine. Her commander was Kapitänleutnant Hans-Günther Kuhlmann, young, disciplined, and highly trained. U-boats were deadly machines of stealth. They struck without warning, disappeared beneath the surface, and left chaos behind. But the ocean is unpredictable, and sometimes the hunter becomes the hunted. Operation Drumbeat, terror in American waters. In early 1942, Germany launched Operation Drumbeat, a campaign targeting ships along the American coast. The U.S. was unprepared. Coastal cities kept their lights on at night, silhouetting ships against the skyline. It was the perfect hunting ground. U-166 was sent across the Atlantic on her first war patrol. Her mission, disrupt American supply lines and sink as many ships as possible. She succeeded. But success can be dangerous, because every attack increases the chance of being discovered. The sinking of the Robert E. Lee. On July 30th, 1942, U-166 spotted her target, the passenger freighter Robert E. Lee. The submarine fired a torpedo. The explosion ripped through the ship. Chaos erupted. The vessel sank within minutes. But this time, something was different. The Robert E. Lee was being escorted. The U.S. Navy patrol craft PC-566 was nearby, and her captain reacted immediately. He believed he had located the submarine. Within moments, depth charges were dropped. The ocean exploded. Shockwaves tore through the water. Inside U-166, alarms would have been screaming. Lights flickering, metal bending, men thrown to the floor. And then, silence. The disappearance. After the attack, PC-566 reported destroying the submarine. But strangely, official records did not confirm the kill. Instead, it was believed that U-166 had been sunk days later by a U.S. Coast Guard aircraft. For decades, the truth remained unclear. What really happened to U-166? Where did she sink? And what were the final moments of her crew? The discovery, a ghost beneath the Gulf. In 2001, nearly 60 years later, an oil survey in the Gulf of Mexico made a shocking discovery. Lying 5,000 feet below the surface was the wreck of U-166. Just a short distance away, the wreck of the Robert E. Lee. The two enemies rested together on the ocean floor, frozen in time. Investigators confirmed that PC-566 had indeed sunk U-166 with depth charges just minutes after the torpedo attack. History had finally corrected itself, but the most haunting discovery was yet to come. The captain at the Periscope. When underwater exploration vehicles examined the wreck, they found something chilling. The submarine was largely intact. There were no signs of escape, no opened hatches, no attempt to abandon ship. Evidence suggested that the explosion from the depth charges was catastrophic and immediate. Some researchers believe that Captain Kuhlmann was still at the Periscope when the fatal blast struck. In submarines, the captain often stands at the periscope during attacks, observing the target, calculating angles, making final adjustments. If the depth charges detonated close enough, the pressure wave could have crushed internal compartments instantly. There would have been no time to react, no time to flee, just one final moment. A captain standing at his station, and then darkness. Why no one escaped? Submarines in World War II were extremely vulnerable to depth charges. At 5,000 feet below the surface, recovery is impossible. The crew of U-166, 52 men, remain entombed within the vessel. The wreck site is now considered a war grave. It is protected, undisturbed, a silent memorial beneath the sea. The human side of the story. It is easy to see U-boats as machines of war. But inside U-166 were young men, sons, brothers, fathers. Many were barely in their 20s. Captain Kuhlmann himself was only 30 years old. War does not freeze time, but the ocean does. And in the Gulf of Mexico, one submarine remains forever locked in its final seconds. The mystery that still haunts us. Even though the wreck has been found, some questions remain unanswered. What were the exact final words inside U-166? Did they know the depth charges were coming? Did the captain realize in that last second that it was over? We may never know, because the ocean keeps its secrets. And sometimes, history is written not in ink, but in silence. The story of U-166 reminds us that beneath every war machine are human lives, frozen in moments we can only imagine. Thank you for watching this video. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more interesting and informative knowledge-filled videos. See you in the next episode.